so A says we're supposed to find the values of theta so that 2 times cosine of that angle would equal negative square root of 3. So far too much to do in our head. So we want to kind of get rid of as much of the basic stuff as we can, like undo times 2 by dividing by 2. And unlike algebra, you're not going to get it to just theta equals or x equals, at least not that easily. But you can get it to sine theta equals or cosine theta equals. And then we can think about the unit circle and say, okay, if I went all the way around the unit circle, cosine is negative square root of 3 over 2 here and here. Cosine's the x values. So if we got to be careful with the directions here, because that's a big part of like lost points. If the direction said find your answers between 0 and 2 pi, one answer would be 5 pi over 6, and another answer would be 7 pi over 6. And you would circle your answer and move on. But the directions on this side, just like on your quiz, don't say find the answers between 0 and 2 pi. It says solve. So just like we did in the notes, every question I had you do it both ways. You just have to say, yeah, this is one of them, but any integer multiple of 2 pi would also be 1, because they would land in the same spot. And 7 pi over 6 is another spot, plus anything that's coterminal to it. So this is what you're aiming for. Now also in the directions it says check for extraneous solutions. So again, sometimes there's some algebra steps that you do that create answers. Like, it doesn't mean that you did an algebra step wrong, but it just means that it doesn't really solve the original problem. So I wouldn't do this right away because it's a little time consuming, but on your quiz, you finish, you've got another 20 minutes before you have to turn it in, whatever, plug it in and see. If you plugged in 5 pi over 6 here, you get 2 times the cosine at 5 pi over 6 is supposed to equal negative square root of 3. See that times 2 divided by 2 cancels out, and you see that it solves the original equation. So then you have no doubt that 5 pi over 6 is the correct answer. And if I also thought 7 pi over 6 was, you could plug it in into the original equation and do 2 times the cosine of 7 pi over 6, and you can see that it solves the original equation too. So you don't just have to hope you didn't make a mistake. Like, you can actually plug them in and check, which is what question 5 and 9 out of the bookwork was trying to get across to you. Yep.
So is there any difference in using like cosine x and cosine theta?
Just a different variable, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Completely interchangeable. Now, when I get down here to my answer, I guess, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too, but it doesn't make sense to say x equals because there's not an x in this problem. We really should say theta equals. But yeah, it works out exactly the same.